kind of a brief introduction about the software, and then we'll actually go through and demonstrate some of the features of QuoteWerks and how that integrates with Salesforce and how it can make it really simple and save you a lot of time when you're creating these quotes and proposals for your clients and being able to take all that data from QuoteWerks and send it over to Salesforce. My name is Brandon Grant. I'm the marketing director here at QuoteWerks. So if you watch a lot of our videos or any of the recorded webinars before, you'll probably hear my voice a lot. It's going to be what we're going to cover today. So like I said, we're going to do just kind of a short PowerPoint presentation. We'll do kind of, what is QuoteWerks for those of you who are kind of new to it, who uses QuoteWerks to show you, it's got a pretty broad range set of features. We even have some workflow diagrams that you'll be able to view so you can kind of see how QuoteWerks operates. And, it's a lot easier to show that with a visual representation rather than just telling you how it works or telling you the best way to use it. So being able to actually see that information is usually very helpful. We'll also discuss some of the resources that are available to you on the website. And also, like I said, we'll do the demonstration of the features here. So like I said, we're going to do a very, very short PowerPoint presentation, just a couple slides just to kind of get you introduced into QuoteWerks and kind of how the software works and, what it is. So, that brings us to this slide, which is our what is QuoteWerks. It's an easy-to-use sales quoting and proposal software solution. So basically, we automate creating sales quotes and proposals for your clients, whether you want to deliver a PDF version of the document or an electronic delivered web version of the document. We can do either. That's our primary focus when we create these documents. We have over 76,000 users in over 100 countries, and we're able to create simple one-page quotes, multiple-page proposals. It's going to have a lot of flexibility for you once you start using it. We do offer the ability to track, report, and manage your existing documents. So we're going to save every document that's created in QuoteWerks in our own database. That way you'll have access to it. Makes it easy to search, duplicate documents, insert documents into one another. Just makes it very easy to find these existing documents. Like I said, we can do also content-rich proposals. So even though our name is QuoteWerks, we can obviously do proposals as well. You'll also be able to utilize templates and bundles and configurations to help streamline your quoting and your proposal generation process. You're actually going to be able to use items such as if you're using the Salesforce price books and you want to pull items from Salesforce, we're able to link directly with that as well. We do integrate with QuickBooks and Sage 50 US edition, so if you're using one of those two, we have direct integrations with those, as well as any of you that are in the IT space. If you're using Tech Data, Ingram Micro, Synex, D&H, we have direct links with those distributors as well. We get this question a lot about who uses QuoteWerks. Well, it's actually a pretty broad range of users. We have a lot of VARs, we have a lot of MSPs. We also have a lot of other industries as well. We have companies from the AV industry, security, really you name it, we probably have someone that uses the software. Really, if you're doing any type of line item quoting or you're creating custom proposals, QuoteWerks would probably work for you. It's, like I said, it's a very robust and flexible software that can be used. We do support recurring revenue. That's also a popular question. Can you set up line items that have recurring revenue so you can show what the monthly total is going to be, the quarterly total, things like that? We can do that. So if you quote out hardware as a service or software as a service, or maybe you just quote out your items, if you lease items to your clients, we support all that type of integration work in QuoteWerks. So QuoteWerks and Salesforce, we have a lot of integration points with Salesforce, and what it really does is just kind of expand the functionality of Salesforce. So using QuoteWerks, you're going to be able to create these content-rich proposals where your simple one-page quotes. You're also going to be able to customize each proposal or quote generated in QuoteWerks. So if you want to specify that maybe this client gets a good deal, or you're running a discount, or you want to change the description of these items, you're going to have a lot of, you're going to have the ability to make those changes on the fly if you want. You're also going to utilize templates in QuoteWerks, which is extremely important to make sure that all your documents that are leaving QuoteWerks are a uniform branded document that shows that it's coming from your organization. Being in marketing, that's one of the things that I always like to point out, because that's one of the things that's important to me, is that saying that, hey, your client needs to know who this document's actually coming from. We integrate directly with Salesforce, obviously, which we'll be showing today. So you're going to be able to pull contact information. You're going to be able to create update opportunities, pull products from Salesforce, and we'll walk through all that today. Delivering the quote through QuoteWerks, like I said before, you're going to be able to deliver a PDF version of the document via email, or we have an electronic version that I'll show you how that works today as well, where the client can actually go through and accept a document online. We do offer customer tracking, so if you're sending a document to your client through our web add-on, you'd actually be able to track and see when the client views the document, if they make payment, if they accept it, if they post a comment. You can even run reports and things of that nature as well. So you can actually view your open, won, lost opportunities and proposals. You can run weekly, monthly, quarterly quotes. Have a pretty powerful reporting tool in QuoteWerks if you look at utilizing that. And then again, anyone from our IT space, if you're looking at working with Ingram Micro, Tech Data, Synex, and D&H, we do have the ability to place electronic orders directly from QuoteWerks into those distributors. So the workflow, we always get a question, pretty common question about how do we use QuoteWerks? What's the best practices for using it? So this is going to be the visualization I was talking about earlier to make it very, very easy so you can kind of understand. And we're even going to walk through this today. So the first step when you're creating a new document in QuoteWerks is you want to select your contact. So we're going to pull this directly from Salesforce. There's no need to sync or import or anything like that. It's going to be a live search. Once you have your contact, you're going to just start building your document. So you start selecting your products and your services that you're offering and start pulling them into your document in QuoteWerks. The next is the delivery of the quote. So this is where you're actually going to send the document off to the client so they can review it. If they're ready to move forward, then they'll be able to actually accept and make payment on the document. Once that's done, we're actually going to update the opportunity as well. When the opportunity is updated, you'll then be able to place the order directly from QuoteWerks if you want. Or if you just want us to create a PO in QuickBooks or Sage 50 or another system, we'll be able to do that also. We'll also provide you tracking information all the way from kind of if you're doing it through the online merchants, we'll actually be able to see the order status of those particular items. So we do have a lot of resources on the website. So if you do have questions or you want to see some information, we do have a lot of videos. Can be specific to a lot of the features in QuoteWerks, also maybe to the industry that you're in. We do have a help file that's available as well. This is going to have basically all the features that are in QuoteWerks. It's searchable. It's online. It's a really useful tool. We do have these live and recorded webinars as well. And then we also have our forums and partners that you can contact as well. So the forum is a great place to interact with other QuoteWerks users if you have questions. If they've encountered a situation that you've never seen before, and vice versa, it's a great place to speak and kind of meet with other QuoteWerks users. We do offer email and phone support as well. So if you do get stuck or you have questions, particularly while you are evaluating QuoteWerks, feel free to give us a call, shoot us an email. We'll be happy to answer any questions. If you want to set up a demonstration, we can do that for you as well. There's a free 30-day trial on the website. It's fully functional. Lets you test out the integration with Salesforce. If you're using QuickBooks or Sage 50, you can test that as well. Anyone that's using the distributor links can see that information also. And like I said, if you do have questions or comments, just feel free to give us a call or send us an email. All right, so that was pretty painless. Like I said, it's going to be a pretty quick overview. So now we're going to go ahead and go through an actual demonstration of how you can use QuoteWerks and how it works with Salesforce. So if not all of you have seen QuoteWerks, this is what you're going to see when you download and install it. Up at the top here, you'll see we have 6 tabs. This is what we refer to as the quote workbook. So if you read any of our documentation or speak with one of us and we reference the quote workbook, this is what we're talking about. The Document Items tab is where you're going to spend a lot of your time in QuoteWerks. This is kind of like the main worksheet in QuoteWerks. So as you start to add products and services to the document, they're going to start to show up here. This is where you can make changes to items. So if you need to change an item's description, price, run subtotals, group items together, things like that, where you're actually making changes to the document itself, it's going to be done on this tab here. The Sold To Ship To tab is going to be your contact information. We can pull this directly from Salesforce, like I said previously. You won't have to worry about running an import or syncing or anything like that. It'll just be a live search into Salesforce, be able to pull that contact information directly into QuoteWerks. The Sale Info tab, this is going to have some of your document-specific information. This is where you can set your tax rate, the document date, the expiration date of the document, the sales rep. So if you're creating the quote on or proposal on someone's behalf, you can change that to the sales rep. So it's going to give you a lot of options here for what you want to change on the document, kind of what you're going to set up, kind of like your defaults for the document here. The Notes tab has 4 different notes fields. We have the introduction and closing on the left-hand side and the purchasing and internal on the right-hand side. The introduction and closing notes are typically notes you would want the client to see. So if you have some information about your company, maybe you have some boilerplate information. In this case, I've added some information, just kind of thanking them for reviewing the proposal. You can put those notes here, and you don't have to worry about them, adding it each time or being left off. You can actually set defaults, which is what I've done. You can see here there's an option to set the default. So if this is something you're going to be using a lot, you can actually set defaults that way you don't have to worry about remembering to put that information on there. The purchasing and internal notes fields are notes that you don't want the client to see. So maybe you're just putting a reminder for yourself or something that had changed. You can use these fields. You don't have to worry about the client ever seeing these. These are internal just to QuoteWerks. They're not going to transfer over to Salesforce either. So like I said, you don't have to worry about them getting outside of QuoteWerks. It's just going to be here in the software. On the Custom tab, you'll see we have quite a few different fields. This allows you to create an additional field that you may need but you don't see available in QuoteWerks. So for instance, we don't have an account number field in QuoteWerks. So what I've done is I've actually renamed or customized one of our custom fields. And I did that very simply just by holding Control and then double-clicking on the name. And you can see here, then it would let me change the name. So if I wanted to call this, maybe we'll call this Account ID instead of Account Number, I can hit OK, and then I can change it. So you're able to repurpose a lot of the fields in QuoteWerks to meet your specific verbiage and vocabulary that you're used to in your sales process. And that's also true on the Notes, Sale Info, and Sold to, Ship to tabs. If you want to repurpose a field or rename a field for something else that makes a little more sense to you, you can easily do that just like I showed you by holding Control and then double-clicking on the field name, and you can make that change. The Links tab has 2 separate sections. We have the linked resources on the left-hand side and the auto links on the right-hand side. The linked resources on the left-hand side is extremely useful if you want to attach any type of additional documentation. So if you have a statement of work, Visio or CAD drawing, Excel spreadsheet, PowerPoint presentation, Word document, anything that you want to attach to this specific document in QuoteWerks, you can attach it here, and then you'll actually have the option to deliver it with your quote or proposal to the client. You can also use it for just internal documents. Maybe you're just sharing, maybe the client sent in the RFP or the RFQ, so you're attaching it here. So as you're building it out, you can reference it very quickly to make sure that you're including everything on that document. Especially if you're collaborating with another user, they'll be able to see what the client had requested, so that as you're building the document, you guys are making sure that they're getting everything. Anything that you add to the Linked Resources tab can be sent to the client, or can just be attached here for your use at a later time. The auto links on the right-hand side are going to be automatically generated dynamic links that will actually link to entities in Salesforce. And what this means is basically when you start building a quote or proposal in QuoteWerks, QuoteWerks is going to create links to your Salesforce contact and the Salesforce opportunity. So it's just kind of like a nice little shortcut. If you want to navigate directly to that opportunity from QuoteWerks, you're going to be able to do that. Up at the top, we have some Toolbar Shortcuts. These are also customizable, but these are some of the most commonly used ones in QuoteWerks. The New button will obviously create a new blank document for you, so it'll look very similar to this. Open is where you will search for your previously created documents. So like I said before, how we store all our documents in a database, this is where you can search for those documents, and you can see you can actually build a filter list of the different ranges that you want to look for in a document. So you can search by the document name, document number, sales rep that created the document, the company it was created for, the contact it was created for. Really, any way you want to look for a document, you'll be able to do that here. Like I said, you can build a range. So if you want to see just the documents that are expiring this month, you could quickly create that filter here, and you'll see a list of those documents and say, okay, these are the ones I need to follow up on before they expire. The save icon, this is obviously going to save it in QuoteWerks. This is also what's going to trigger the integration with Salesforce. So one of the nice things about QuoteWerks is that we designed it to be extremely easy to use, but it also needs to be easily integrated into Salesforce. So the way we do that is once you're done creating your document, you simply need to save it to save your work in QuoteWerks, and then to trigger the integration with Salesforce. You can see down here, you'll have the option to integrate with Salesforce with your checkboxes. And we'll go into a lot more detail here, but as long as you take away from this that you remember that when I'm ready to send my information from QuoteWerks to Salesforce, all I need to do is hit save. The revision icon is extremely useful if you have if you've created multiple revisions of that document in QuoteWerks. It'll basically track those revisions for you. So if you send out a new document to a client, they come back, ask you to make some changes, instead of having to start from scratch or do a file copy or file save as, you simply make the changes, click revision, you have a new document, and you have a new document number. You can even see a list of all the revision or all the revised documents under your View Document Revisions option. And when you click on that, that'll actually show you a list of all those revisions for that document in QuoteWerks. So it just makes it very easy to view a previous revision. So if you send your client, maybe 5 different quotes with 5 different options, they say, okay, we want to move forward with this one. You can quickly find that document in QuoteWerks. The deliver icon, this is when you are ready to actually send out the document to your client. You'll actually select from a list of layouts. This is my training installation, so I have quite a few different layouts. You'll probably just have a couple, maybe 3 or 4 that you use total. And you'll just select exactly what you want the output to look like. These are all fully customizable, and we'll go into a little more detail on that here in a few minutes. But this is where you'll basically be building the output that the client's going to receive from you. The dashboards. There's 2 dashboards that come with QuoteWerks. The first one is going to be the My Summary dashboard. The My Summary dashboard is going to show you, for your current user, how many quotes you've created this month, how many you created last month, and how many 2 months ago. It'll also show you how many of those were converted to orders for this month, last month, and 2 months ago as well. It'll display hyperlinks to all of your recent documents, so actually the last 8 or 9 documents that you worked on. It'll show you a hyperlink option, so you can click on it, and you can actually open that document in QuoteWerks. If you have any documents that are expiring within the next 7 days, those will show up here as well with hyperlinks, so you can click on those documents. Like I said, it just makes it easy as a sales rep that you can click on the dashboard, see if you have any quotes expiring this week, click on that quote, brings up the document, you can kind of look it over, see if you need to make any changes, and then contact that client to see if, hey, they're ready to move forward with this document, or are you going to close it out, is it going to be one, that kind of thing. The opportunities dashboard is going to go into a little more, it's going to give you a little more information here. I'm going to go back just a couple months just so you can see it. This is actually going to show you how many quotes you have open for that specific time range, and you can see the range is set here. Same thing for close, or if you have any that are usually in a different status of, maybe it's approved but not paid or something like that, you'll see those show up here on this forecast for selected period as well. It also display your top 5 closed won documents for that date range. Same thing for any open ones. Also very useful if you're getting to the end of the month, you see that, hey, my top 5 are still open for this month. Maybe I should follow up with them, see if I can get them to close before the month is over. It will also display your top 5 lost opportunities in the period. So you'll be able to see that information here. The quota for the selected period, this is also going to show you kind of how you're doing for the month. They'll keep track of that. And then you also get to see your year-to-date summary at the bottom, as well as your quarterly summary, so you can see kind of quarter by quarter how you've done with your documents in QuoteWerks. I see I do have a question about how we're going to create a quote and send it to Salesforce. And yeah, we're definitely going to do that. We're almost done with the intro to the software. So we're going to do next probably another 2 or 3 minutes. Your products icon, this is where your products and services will be stored in QuoteWerks. So if you're going to be pulling items from Salesforce, we can link directly to your price book. If you want to import and manage your items in QuoteWerks, you can do that as well. If you want to do a combination of the 2, that's fine also. If you're working with Ingram Micro, Tech Data, Synex D&H, we can also pull items directly from EagleEyes, which is basically a third-party company that hosts their data. So you can actually get real-time pricing and availability from those items or from those distributors as well here. All right, so let's go ahead and move forward with creating a new document in QuoteWerks. Those are kind of the main icons. There's a few other ones that I mentioned, but we don't use those too many, especially in demos. The one that I do want to mention, though, are bundles. If you create groups or kits of items in QuoteWerks, you want to see how, you want to be able to select the one bundle and have it add all those items to the document. That's how you can do that in QuoteWerks. So if you're ever grouping items together, selling them as those kits, then you can create a bundle for them, so you don't have to worry about individually selecting each item. All right, so when you're ready to start a new document in QuoteWerks, we're going to start on the Sold To, Shipped To tab. If you remember from that diagram we had, said we always want to select a contact. The reason we mention this is because this is who you want to create the opportunity for in Salesforce. So in this case, we're going to start on our Sold To, Ship To tab, and we're going to select our contact by clicking on our magnifying glass. And this is going to bring up our Lookup Salesforce contact window. I can search by the account name, last name, or phone number. So in this case, I'm just going to search by account name, and I'm just going to look for our company, which is Aspire. And then I'm going to hit Find, or you can hit Enter on your keyboard. Either one will return your results. Once you've kind of narrowed down your contact, you can simply select them by highlighting them and then choosing the Sold To, Ship To, and Bill To fields to populate each of your 3 fields here. If you click All, it'll just populate all 3 fields at once. The Sold To is kind of like the default field in QuoteWerks. This is who we're going to create the opportunity for. This is the contact information we're going to use on the document. This is who we're going to actually send the document to. So you always want to make sure you fill out the Sold To. The Ship To and the Bill To are just additional fields, so if you want to put the shipping information and the billing information in the document, you can do that. If not, you can leave it blank if you wanted to. It's not actually required. Once you have your client, we can now start building our document. So to build our document in QuoteWerks, we're going to click on the Document Items tab, and then I'm going to add some heading lines. And what heading lines in QuoteWerks are is this allows you to kind of organize your document into different sections. So to do that, I'm going to right-click and choose Insert Heading. And then it's prompting me to insert a heading description. And you can put whatever you like here. If you want to call it hardware, you could do that. Maybe you want to call it products. You could do that. However you want to organize your document, it's going to be up to you. A lot of companies will do it if you're doing like multiple rooms, saying, hey, this is for room 1, this is for room 2. Maybe it's different phases of a project, so you're going to say this is for phase 1 of the project, phase 2. You can put that information in here. Mine, I'm just going to do a very generic one. We'll do products, and then again, I'm going to right-click on my document item screen, insert heading, and then I'm going to put one in for services. And then I'm going to right-click here and choose, we'll do one for optional items. All right, so I have those 3 different headings. And again, you can have as many headings as you'd like. You can not use headings at all. If you don't organize your document this way, you can skip this step completely. We do support document templates, so if you do have maybe some products and services you quote or you propose on every document you send out, you can actually create a document template that already has those loaded for you, so you don't have to start from scratch each time like I did here. Same thing if you wanted to already include some of the heading descriptions, you could add those pre-populated for your reps, so it's an easy way to save some time. So now that I have my heading lines, I can go ahead and start adding items to my document. So to add items, we're going to click on our products icon here. And this is going to bring up our product lookup window. Now, if you are managing your items in Salesforce and you want to pull them directly from Salesforce, you can simply click on your Salesforce product list. You can search by the description for the item, the manufacturer part number, or if you wanted to type in like a keyword or something like that, you can do that. Typically, you'll probably search by description or manufacturer part number. That's usually the easiest. If you have a small list of items or just a few items you usually quote, you can also click on Show All, and that'll populate all the items that are available in that particular price list, as you can see here as they get loaded up. When you're looking for an item or pulling an item that you want to quote out, if you hold Control, you can actually select multiple items at one time. So if I wanted to select this item, and then maybe I wanted to choose this labor rate, I can just hold Control and select multiple items. So it gives you a lot of flexibility, and it's pretty powerful to be able to select more than just a single item at a time, especially if you're adding 150 items to a quote. It's going to be very easy to add your items. So I'm going to select these 2 items for now, and then I'm going to choose Select Add. And this will bring up my Add Item Assistant. The Add Item Assistant will allow you to make some changes to this particular item before you add it to the document. So if you want to adjust the quantity, using the up and down arrows, you can do that. If you want to type in the quantity, I can do that. If I want to change the price, maybe I want to change it to $150, I can do that. If you do calculate your pricing by markups, you can also click on the ellipsis button here, and you can set the markup. So if you say, I want to mark it up 15% from cost, you can do that. Or if you want to do it by profit margin, say, every hardware item or every product we sell, we have to receive a minimum of 9% profit margin. We support that as well. If you sell items discounted from the list price, so the MSRP price, you just need to select the discount percentage option here. So for mine, I'm just going to do a nice round number of 150, just makes it easy, and then I can add this to my document. Before I do that, though, I do have the option to check price history. So if I've ever sold this particular part number to this specific customer, I can actually see what I quoted them previously, the quantity, the date, the cost, the modifier that was used, the document it was in, the document number it was in. All that information is going to be readily available for me here. Makes it very easy to stay consistent with your pricing from quote to quote. So if you quoted this client last week and they're coming back saying, hey, we need to reorder these items, can you give me the same price? Before you even have to look up the old document and then create a new document, you can simply start building it here and then check price history. Directly below it, price history for this item, this is going to show you the price history for this item no matter who you sold it to. So if on the last one it was just for that specific client that we had selected, but if we had never sold this item or we wanted to see what we sold it to someone last week where we gave them a good deal or last month, we'd actually be able to see that for the entire price history for this item. So pretty powerful. That's going to give you that much information in one easy to find location. And then we can add it to our document very simply by selecting our heading option. So in this case, this is a product item, so let's choose products. Click add, and you can see there it adds it under our product section. Now since we selected 2 items to add to the document, it's prompting us to put our labor on here. So I want to go ahead and charge my labor flat rate. I'm going to set it to services, and let's say they need 3 hours of labor. I'll put it on there, click add, and you can see it adds it under there. One of the really nice things about QuoteWerks is that if you do put an item under the wrong section, or maybe you just add a bunch of items at once, you're going to move them later, we do support drag and drop. So if you need to drag and drop the items around the document, you can do so very easily. Just left-click here, and you can move the items around. So you can see where my cursor is, just left-click, and you'll be able to do that. Now, for any of you that are using Ingram Micro, Tech Data, Synnex, D&H, EagleEyes is where you'll be able to find a lot of your items. This is where you can search for items on pretty much anything. You can search by manufacturer part number, product description, keyword, vendor part number. However you want to look for an item, you can do so here. So in the search for field, I can simply just type in what I was looking for. So for instance, if I wanted to pull items from, I'm looking to quote out a trip light switch. I can type in trip light switch, and it'll return back 303 items. So that's quite a few, so I want to kind of narrow it down. EagleEyes is going to provide me with some categories, manufacturers, and features, so I can kind of drill down to the exact item that I'm looking for. So in this case, if I know I'm looking for a specific product family, maybe the Net Commander family, I can narrow it down to 15 items from 303 with just a simple click. And then I can select my item. So let's see here. Let's go ahead and look at this item. So I selected an item, and now I can get pricing and availability from my distributor. So if you're using Tech Data, Ingram, Synnex, D&H, one or any of those 4, we'll be able to give you in real time your pricing and availability for this item from those specific distributors. Additionally, we'll also be able to show you retail pricing from CDW, Newegg, Dell, ProVantage, and Staples. So you'll actually be able to see that information here. So in this case, if we extend this just a little bit, you'll actually be able to see your pricing. So in this case, Tech Data has the best price. You can see it's in green. And then it'll also show you the warehouse availability breakdown on the right-hand side. And all of you from Canada, we also support this for the Canadian distributors, Tech Data, Ingram, Synnex, D&H, same 4. You'll be able to see that information if you're in Canada as well. And then adding the item to your document, just as simple as we did before. Simply choose which vendor you want to source it from. It'll bring up your Add Item Assistant. You can change your price modifier if you'd like to, your quantity, and then we can add it to our document. So pretty straightforward there. If you are using this, using EagleEyes, you'll be able to also include accessory items. Accessory items are basically broken down into different categories. So if you wanted to include maybe a service, maybe there's a warranty service. So let's go ahead and add that warranty on here. And this one has a 1, 2, and 3-year warranty, so maybe we'll choose both, and then I'll show you how you can actually give the client the option to choose which warranty. So if you ever want to give your client options, something that you can do in QuoteWerks. So then we'll source this one, and we'll add it as a service. And let's do the 2-year warranty instead, and get our pricing for the 2-year warranty. And all right, so we'll source that from D&H, and then we'll pull this item into our services here. If you wanted to set up your items in your own database, you can do that. So if you look here in this other items database on the left-hand side, I've actually set it up so I can import or manually create my own items in this database. It's up to you how you want to set it up. Like I said, you can link directly to the Salesforce one, which is where we pull the first items from. If you're working with those IT distributors, you can pull from EagleEyes. If you want to set up your own database in QuoteWerks, you can do that as well. One of the nice things about QuoteWerks is that if you do set up your own items in your own database, you can attach pictures, you can attach spec sheets. You'll also be able to set items as recurring. So if you do offer any kind of recurring services, you'll already be able to have that preset, so you don't have to worry about adding it each time. So I'm just going to add a couple items here, and you can see it looks very similar to the Salesforce option, where I can search by the description, the manufacturer part number. This one just also gives me the option to search by the manufacturer and vendor part number. There is a multiple database search up at the top. So if you have multiple vendors and you want a database for each vendor, but they share a lot of the same items, you can actually set them up in QuoteWerks, and then you can go to your multiple database search to search all those vendors at once to see which items you should source it from, which vendor has the best price before adding it to the document. All right, so let's go ahead and add these items here, and actually we'll just add those two, or we'll add 3 of those. All right, so we'll select that, and then we just choose where we want them to show up. So I'm going to set this as an optional item, and this one we'll say is a product, and then this one will be optional. All right, so now that we have all our items on the document, we can make any changes to this document that we need, and it won't change the items in our database. So it's going to be a really nice thing that if you're making changes here, you don't have to worry about it retroactively updating your database and changing it for everyone that's using it. It'll just be for this specific document. So maybe you're giving your client a discount here. You don't have to worry about it being reflected in your product database moving forward. You know, just for this quote, just for this client, we're giving them that discount. It also allows you to make some updates. So maybe you want to see your margin here. So we're actually showing your profit margin across the document up at the top, as well as the profit amount. But it's going to be off a little bit because we don't have costs for these items. So I can actually enter my costs in here. So I can say, well, I know this item costs us $100. So I can change my cost. And I know this item cost us, you know, our labor rate is $50. That's what it costs us. So you can make those kind of changes on the fly as needed. Works the same way with the price. You know, maybe for labor we want to go ahead and charge them $100 an hour for labor. I can update that, and you can see it changes my unit price for that item. If I want to adjust items pricing by, you know, maybe the margin or the markup, I can do multiple items at once. You know, maybe our hardware items here, our products here, we said, okay, we need a minimum profit margin of 12%. Well, we're at 10.82%. I want to update all these items at one time. I can do that by highlighting my items, and I just did that by holding Control and then clicking on them, then right-click, and then scroll down my Edit menu to apply Price Modifier. And then I can set my margin or my markup. You know, if you do a markup from cost, we can do that, or discount from list. This is where you can set that. So I can say, okay, in this case, I want to do a margin of 12%. Hit OK, and you can see my 3 items were now updated. And now my profit margin is set for 12% for those 3 items. So you're going to have a lot of flexibility in being able to change pricing, changing costs if you need to, price modifiers, all that information. All of these columns that you see here on the document items screen are customizable. So if you want to hide columns that you're not using or rename them, you can do that as well. You can even lock them down if you don't want your reps to be able to change pricing manually or change the cost manually. You can even lock that down also. Every line item in QuoteWerks also has the description. So this is the customer-facing description column here. If I double-click on it, that'll actually show me this zoom window here, and this shows me my entire item's description. This is extremely useful if you want to simplify the description or simply change it. You can see the entire item's description. Every description field in QuoteWerks holds 32,000 characters, which is about 30 pages of text. So if you do send out a lot of documents or you have very lengthy descriptions for your products and services, you'll easily have enough room for that information in QuoteWerks. So if you look through any of your items and you say, you know, I just want to kind of shorten it. So this is a good example. This one's probably going to be about 2 or 3 lines on the quote. So I want to go ahead and shorten it just a little bit. They don't need to know that much information. I can just shorten that very simple description. That one's good, so we don't have to worry about that. So again, just something else that you can customize on the document before sending it to your client. Additionally, every item in QuoteWerks has what we refer to as line attributes. Line attributes are how we define what type of product or service this is in QuoteWerks. So in your QuoteWerks document, if you right-click on a line item and choose Edit Line Attributes, it'll bring up this Line Attributes window. Line Attributes will let you set, okay, is this item optional, yes or no? If an item is optional, it'll show up on the quote for the client, but it won't be included in the quote total unless you check the box for is selected. So if I wanted this item to be optional, but included in the total and included in the opportunity total of your Salesforce opportunity, you want to make sure you check that box. If you just want it to be a normal item, you can leave it as no, it's non-optional. Here you can also adjust the tax code. So if it's taxable or non-taxable, you can change that. If you want to hide the price, you can do that. Very useful feature if you're selling items in a group or kit that we kind of talked about earlier. You don't want the client to see the individual prices of every item you're selling. You're saying, hey, we're selling you this package, and this is everything that it includes, but you just want to show them the total of the package. You can do that by using these line attributes of hiding the price on individual line items. Hiding quantity is also extremely useful. If you see here on my labor, I have it set as a flat rate of $100. Well, maybe I don't want the client to know that I'm charging them 3 hours. So what I can actually do is hide the quantity so that they'll just see that the labor rate is $100. They don't know how much I'm charging them for. They don't know what the rate is going to be or anything like that. They just know that the labor charge is going to be $300 or however you want to show that. So any kind of services that are kind of hourly or quarterly, or maybe half hours that you break it down, you can choose if you want to hide the quantity for that so you don't have to have that conversation with the client. Just makes it a little smoother when you're quoting them out. Additionally, some of the other attributes here, you're going to have your ability to print line. So again, if you're grouping items together, maybe you don't want to confuse the client with 15 different items in this group. You just will say, hey, you're buying this gold package, and it includes everything that you need. Here's the price. Instead of showing them the individual items, you can choose not to print the line. If you have any items that have pictures associated with them, you can choose whether or not those print. And same thing if you have any recurring services. So if you have anything that's recurring, whether it's weekly, monthly, quarterly, or annual, you can set that here. All right, so let's go ahead and hit OK. And then, so for instance, if I wanted to say, okay, well, we want the client to have these two options for their services, for their warranty, we can go ahead and set it as optional, check the box for is selected, and then we'll assign it to a group. So we're basically going to let the client choose which warranty they want, and we're just going to call this warranty, and then hit OK. And then for my optional items down here, I want the client to be able to select or deselect these optional items. So I'm going to go ahead and change their line attributes to optional, but is selected because I want them in the total already. I don't want the client to add it and then maybe get sticker shock, so I'm already going to include it in the total here. All right. So once you've made all the changes to your document, you're ready to send this information over to Salesforce. Now you may see the message that popped up a couple times says Autosave. I didn't want to do it just because I wanted to show you first, but we do have Autosave in QuoteWerks, so when you're building your document, all you need to do is save it once, and then it'll basically turn on the autosave, or it'll save all your work as you make changes in the background. But for our purposes, I want to show you sending the information over to Salesforce. So we're going to hit save, and it's going to prompt us to save our document in QuoteWerks. So it's going to ask us to give it a document name. Now by default, we use the company that we're selling to and today's date. You can change that naming convention. If you use a different naming convention for your documents, you can do that. And basically, the name of your document is what you would typically name your quote or proposal. So just like if you were using Word or Excel and you name it, that's what you're doing here. QuoteWerks is automatically going to apply the document number for you, so you don't need to worry about maintaining a different database of document numbers or manually tracking this information. We're automatically going to assign the document number for you, so you don't have to worry about keeping track of that. The status of the document is set as open, very similar to your statuses in your opportunities, where you have a status of an opportunity of open or created or drafted, or it's stage 3 or whatever you want to call it. You can use those similar statuses here in QuoteWerks. You can use your own set of statuses. It's up to you. Typically, we just use open as kind of when it's created, but you could change that if you'd like. The project number is extremely useful if you have more than one quote or proposal for the same project. So if you're creating multiple documents in QuoteWerks and you want to attach them to the same project, you can do that by assigning them the same project number. This would allow you to run a report on that project number so you can see which which items have closed from that project, you know, which quotes are still open, how much revenue's come in so far, that type of information. So it's just kind of a way to keep track and organize multiple documents that may be assigned with the same project, especially if it's being done in phases. And then down here, this is going to be the Salesforce integration. This is going to be the easiest part about using QuoteWerks, is that the integration with Salesforce is going to essentially be automatic. All you need to do is choose how you want to integrate. So do you want QuoteWerks to create the document attachment? It's basically a shortcut back to the QuoteWerks quote. So typically you're going to have that checked. And then do you want us to create or attach to the opportunity? So if the opportunity already exists, we can actually link to it. If it doesn't exist, we'll go ahead and create it for you. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And then it's going to bring up our opportunity window here for Salesforce. So if I wanted to link to the existing opportunity for this account, you can see if I click on the drop-down, this will show me a list of all the open opportunities that I can link to. In our case, I want to go ahead and create a new one. So that's going to be my selections. I'm going to choose Create a New Salesforce Opportunity. From here, I can then choose the close date, the stage. The stages are being pulled from Salesforce, so these are the stages that I've created in Salesforce. I'm going to go ahead and change it to, we'll say, qualification. You can change your probability. And then if the items that you're quoting do not currently exist in Salesforce, you can actually tell QuoteWerks to create it. And you can even choose, if you have multiple price books, which price book you want them to be created in. In this case, I want it to be the standard price book. Let's do that one. And then I'll hit OK. So it's going to save my document in QuoteWerks. You can see there's my document name. There's my unique document number. And then now it's adding my products to my Salesforce database, since a lot of them don't exist. And then it's created that opportunity in Salesforce. Now, if you remember, we talked about being able to link to that opportunity. If you click on your Links tab in QuoteWerks, you'll see there we can view that contact from the sold to, shipped to, or billed to. So if they were different, you know, you can click on it, and that would show you that contact. And then our opportunity, we can actually view this opportunity in Salesforce. So very quickly, just by clicking on the Links tab, clicking on that link, that'll open up our opportunity in Salesforce for us, and we can see the opportunity information. We can update any information we need to, so if you forgot to set one of the fields or you just want to change something, you can do that here. You'll see the line item information is written into your opportunity, so that'll be in there for billing information later. So it's going to be very, very streamlined how it's sent over there. Anytime you need to make changes to your quote or proposal, so let's say we sent this out to the client, they come back, they ask you to make these adjustments, all you have to do is resave it, and it'll update that opportunity now. By default, we'll already be linked to that existing opportunity. However, you can break that link if you need to create a new opportunity in QuoteWerks. You'll have that option. But by default, we're going to link to that existing opportunity and just update it with any changes. So if your quantity changes or you're removing this item, adding this item, doesn't matter. We're going to make all those changes for you. So now that we've sent everything over, we're ready to deliver this document to our client. So we're going to do that by clicking on the Deliver icon. And then we're going to build out our document in QuoteWerks. So up at the top, you'll see there's a list of 5 different tabs. So the first page is going, or the first tab is going to be your cover page tab. This is where you can include, obviously, a cover page for your document. This is fully optional. You don't have to do this, but we like to give you the option because you can basically choose, do we want to include a cover page with this quote? Is it more of a proposal? So we definitely want a cover page. You can make your selection here. We can click on our drop-down, and then you can have a list of different cover pages that you've created and choose which cover page you want to select. As you make a selection on your organization panel over on the right-hand side, that'll show you a list of all your selections so far. This is useful because you can actually choose the print order of these documents. So maybe if you're adding a cover page and then you have maybe an agreement that you want the client to sign and you want that to come next, and then the proposal for the items, you can have that come next. It's up to you how you want to set that up. It's going to be very flexible. The Layout tab is going to have your primary tab and then an additional sub-tab. The primary tab is where you'll select the layout that you want to use. This is basically your primary layout that you use. But you may also have an additional tab. For instance, I have like a summary page that I like to attach. So it kind of breaks it out for the client and says, hey, these are product items, these are service items, these are recurring, show me how this is all going to look. So you'll be able to make those types of adjustments as needed. The Literature tab is where you can attach any type of additional documentation. So if you have a warranty information, service contract, agreements, anything that you want to attach that goes out on a regular basis with your quotes and proposals, you can save those as literature documents, and then you can choose to attach them. So in our case, I have a support agreement I want to include, so I can attach that. If I had any spec sheets, those would show up here, very similar to the literature tab where they'll have checkboxes next to them. And same thing with the links tab. If you remember we talked about earlier, if you have kind of like a one-off document or something that you just want to attach for this specific quote or proposal that we're working on, you can attach it here. Now anything in this organizational panel, can be moved around. So if I said, okay, I want my cover page to go first, I want this layout to go first, this one to go second, and then my support agreement, I'm actually setting the print order for these documents. If I wanted my support agreement to go next, I could simply highlight it and then move it up. So like I said, you're going to have a lot of flexibility in moving documents around and choosing the exact order you want them to appear in. And then when you're ready to view it, you simply click on Preview. And this is going to build out your document in QuoteWerks. Now this is using a template. And I'm just going to resize this so it's a little easier to see here, so it's not the entire screen. So this is using a template, and it's just using macros from QuoteWerks information. So this is, again, where it's going to save you a lot of that time, is that you're not having to manually input this data. We're pulling the data from QuoteWerks. So it's putting in the document name, who is prepared for, the document number. On our second page here, we even have kind of an executive summary. So we're saying, here's our client's name, here's our information. And then we get to the next page, which is going to have our actual document information about our line items. So we can see here, you can include product pictures if you'd like. It has the quantity, the pricing, all that information is available here. We even have a nice little solution summary for them so they can see the price of those individual items. The next page, I have kind of a broken out summary for them, so I can show them, hey, this is your initial investment. If I had anything that was recurring, I could break that up as well. That would show up on the document. This will also show any shipping, tax, anything like that. If anything's billed monthly, quarterly, or yearly, that'll actually show up as well. So like I said, that summary page can provide a little more information here. And then the next couple pages is going to be the support agreement. So you can actually see here I have my support agreement where I've included everything they needed to know about signing or signing off on our document. And then we even have a page where they can sign off on the document itself. So you have two options for delivery for this document. I can email this as a PDF, and if I do, it's going to send it as a single PDF document to the client that they can download and review and sign off on it just as they usually would. However, we also have the option to send it via QuoteValley, which is how I want to send it. The reason I want to send this via QuoteValley is because it's going to give the client the option to electronically sign off on the document, plus it's going to give me tracking information about when they view it, if they've accepted it, made payment, anything like that. So I'm going to choose Upload to QuoteValley. That was actually a message saying that this document is too high value, so it actually needs to be approved. Since I'm a master user in QuoteWerks, I can override it. But that's a nice thing to know, is that we do have document approvals. So if you wanted to make sure that your reps are only sending documents that meet your standards, you can actually set up different approval rules for them. So let's go ahead and upload our document. And then once it finishes uploading, we could choose Send Email. Now you see here, this is going to be our email window. And this is a customizable email template, so you can change the default verbiage that's in here. A lot of the stuff that we do to save time in QuoteWerks is set defaults, use templates, that type of information, so you're not having to manually do this each time. So you can actually save yourself quite a bit of time by doing that. So this is one of the default email templates that we're using, and you can see there's no attachment. So even though that we had that 12-page PDF document, we're not actually going to attach it here, but we are going to make it available to them online. So I'm going to show you how that would work. So we would hit send, and this would email out the client the link to the quote. So I'm going to go ahead and just copy the link out so I can open it. So we're going to pretend I went ahead and I created it, and I sent it to the client, they received it, and then they clicked on it, and then this is what the client sees. So now that they've clicked on my link in QuoteValley, I received an email that they viewed the document for the first time. Here's the PDF. So I can actually click on the PDF, and I can download the PDF right onto my machine. So like I said, even though we're not attaching it to the email itself, they'll actually be able to get it through QuoteValley. And that's really nice because that'll help get you around some spam filters, because a lot of times if you're sending a PDF document, a lot of spam filters now, they'll basically just block anything with an attachment. So this will kind of get you around some of that information. The really nice thing about QuoteValley, though, is it's going to create an interactive document for your client where they can actually approve and accept as the specific items that they want to use. So for instance, here we have optional items on this document, and they can deselect these optional items, click Update, and this will actually update our total in real time, so the client can actually go through and choose which items they want to add. Or in this case, we have the choice between a 1-year and 2-year service warranty, so maybe they want to include the 2-year. They want to go ahead and add these optional items, click Update, and this will actually update our total for the document. So the client can actually go through and choose which options they want on this document. You can even set up where they can change the quantity of the items. I don't have mine set up that way, but if you wanted to give them the option to change the quantity, we can do that also. And then down here at the bottom, they can sign off on the document, so everything looks good. They can sign off on it. And then click to accept. And then this will send you an email notifying you that the client has accepted the document. If they posted a comment in this questions box down here, you'll get an email notifying you that they posted a comment as well. Once the customer has accepted the quote, if you accept credit card or PayPal, this Pay Now button will be available. If not, you'll still receive the notification that they accepted it, and then you can follow up with them to receive payment as you usually would. If they do accept it, and they want to make payment, and you click on the Pay Now button, you'll see this is what the payment screen would look like. So they can just put in their payment information. So that part's pretty straightforward. Now in QuoteWerks, we go to the Quote Valet tab here. This will actually tell you everything that's happened with the document so far. So we can actually see that the customer viewed it for the first time, they viewed the PDF attachment, they went back to it, they changed an option, then they accepted the quote, and then they also made payment, or they viewed the payment at least. So I got all that information, so I can actually see what my client's doing with this document. So it provides you a lot of information. Even just knowing that they viewed it for the first time is extremely valuable, because a lot of times you send an email to a client, you have no idea if they actually received it. You ask them if they looked at the quote, they said yes. Well, now you can actually get proof and know if they received it or not. So everything looks good. So since my client has accepted the quote, I want to convert this quote to an order. Now, if you're not using Quote Valet, you can easily do that by clicking File, Convert to Order. That's how we close out a quote in QuoteWerks. If you're using Quote Valet, this window will pop up automatically. It'll prompt you to convert it to an order. I just X'd out of it before. But when we convert a quote to an order, this is how we're closing the document in QuoteWerks. We're saying, okay, the client has accepted the document. They're ready to move forward. Let's go ahead and close this. This is important because this is also going to update your opportunity in Salesforce as one. So you can see here, as soon as I convert it to an order, it's going to say, okay, let's go ahead and close that existing Salesforce opportunity, mark it as 1, sets the stage as 1, for probability to 100%, and then hit OK, and now it's going to go through and update that opportunity. So that's another reason why it'll be important to convert it to an order. But that's nice on the QuoteWerks side of things, because now you're not having to close it in QuoteWerks and then manually go into Salesforce and close it. No, you just go into QuoteWerks, convert it to an order, and then we'll update it for Salesforce for you as well. If anything had changed, if quantities, products, anything had changed, all that information would be fed back up to Salesforce from what the client had selected or agreed upon. And then now you can do your normal ordering and reporting process through Salesforce. So that's pretty much it from start to finish. I'm going to hang around for the next few minutes and answer any questions you guys have. Like I said, anyone that came in late, don't worry, we're going to post this on the website. You'll probably get an email next week with a link. Anyone that had to leave early, obviously, we'll send that information as well. But thank you for your time today. I'm going to stop the recording, but like I said, I'll hang out for the next few minutes and answer any questions that you guys may have.